So January was my month of photography, but I still do it outside of my focus area. And also at the minute, Mr12 is doing photography for visual arts for school. So today we are going on a little photo walk on our property just to take some photos, explore some photographic content, and we'd love for you to come for a walk with us. There's our pigs over there. Hello, pigs. So let's go for a wander around the farm. So just going to head down out of the main paddocks into our forested area. So today I am shooting with a Nikon D850, which is my standard DSLR camera, with my new to me 24-70 2.8 lens that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace. And then Mr12 is shooting with my old D90, and he has my 35mm 2.0 lens on that. So we're just going to go for a bit of a wander, have a look around, see what inspiration strikes us. Should be fun. So your challenge, should you choose to accept it, have a bit of a look around for me and see if you can see. I want you to take 3 photos for me. Texture, color, and shape. Okay, so that's going to be our challenge. We're going to look for 3 different things. So let's go see what we can find. This is all gum and pine bush. So there's lots of greens. Obviously, there's lots of texture, there's lots of different bark and stuff. So this is the back section of our block where it rapidly changes from open grazing land into forest, which is lots of fun. We've got lots of beautiful areas and so much inspiration. And sadly, trees coming down all over the place. It has been really dry. So we've had lots of trees come down because there's also been some really strong winds. This one is really sad to see because this was one of our landmark trees. So I'm very sad to see it having come down. Oh, I forgot my memory card. Okay. He's going for a run back to the house for me. I was editing photos this morning from the show. I took a heap of photos for that, and I left my card in the computer. So this wee lad is going to run back to the schoolroom, grab my memory card for me so I can actually take some photos. I discovered that after I tried to take one. So, you know, I'm glad I found it now before we got too far along. Okay, we have an SD card and the dogs decided to come along for the ride as well. So let's see what we can find. Okay, that's a good idea. Have you gotten a spot in mind for that one? No. We had the Black Summer bushfires come through here in late 2019, just before we moved out, and it's definitely left a mark on the landscape. We've got lots of trees that are still very black, still very dead. They make for interesting photos. So a lot has come back, a lot more than I expected, to be honest, but yeah, there's still definitely the marks of a bushfire. So I'll have a look. So up here you can see a lot of undergrowth has come back, but a lot of trees are still dead. Grabbed, what were you just taking? A texture photo? Yeah, what did you grab? A pile of rocks. There's lots of rocks in through the granite country here, isn't there? Yeah, I grabbed some shape of the dead trees against the sky. think I'm just going to leave my lens off, lens cap off. Yeah, if you go, you can go down in there. Just keep an eye on the ground. Photo bomber alert. Yeah. Yeah, there's no real, I don't think there's a lot of water flowing down in there in the minute. It's very dry. Beautiful big old trees that we lost in the fires as well. Because there's a beautiful spot just up in here behind us, but the grass is really long and it's quite warm today. And we live in Australia, so you know, be mindful of all our little slithery scaly friends, and we might skip that one and we might come back next time. I'm hoping to do one of these photo walks with him at least once a week. Speaking of scaly friends, that was a lizard. So yeah, so he'll have another chance to go up there, but safety first, especially when it's so hot. There's such a high chance of a snake, and we haven't slashed the tracks up that way recently, so we're going to stick to the main car tracks. Trying to avoid any snakes again, watching my feet very closely as I jump in. Well, I like that one. Okay, let's keep rolling. What did you just grab? Oh, yeah. Just the puppy dog. So someone's just spotted some interesting shapes across the gully. So he's going to grab some photos of that. Someone waiting patiently. Very rude of us to interrupt his walking fun that he invited himself on that had clearly nothing to do with us, if you ask the dog. And back we go. So we're going to take the same way home because again the paths, a lot of the paths haven't been slashed. So this one here is used both as a car track, and as you can tell by the divot in the middle, the boys also use it as their dirt bike track. So thankfully no dirt bikes out today, otherwise you would be hearing them from a mile off. So it makes for a nice serene walk aside from, you know, the dog and me huffing and puffing. When we were down the bottom, there was one photo that I intended to get and didn't. Just a bit frustrating. I need it for a different project. So I might come for a walk again in the morning. Someone's got prickles in his feet. But yeah, we're gonna head home now. It is getting actually quite muggy now. Gonna head home. We'll chuck these on the computer, see what we found, and we'll bring you guys along for the edits as well. And something that I'm actually loving about this part of the walk is we've got the benefit of going over the same ground from a different perspective. So, you know, there will be things we'll find on the way home that we wouldn't have noticed on the way down because our backs were to them. So retracing our steps kind of, yeah, it makes logical sense to keep a focus on what we're doing and what we're trying to document. Bird, so I need to be very quiet. Oh yeah, so that's the problem, isn't it? What lens to pick, because sometimes you miss out on stuff, but then you get different perspective with the lens that you've got. Okay. Well, it could make for an interesting photo. We'll take a look at it on the computer and see what you've got. Mm-hmm. We'll have a little glass of water and then we'll go edit. Okay, so I am going to import mine first because I use a lot of presets and stuff. So I've been using Lightroom since it was first released, basically. And so I know how, I'm familiar with how everything works. And I'm also have a very consistent, simple style. So I'm going to run through my photos first because then when Beetle comes to do his, I'm going to get him to actually edit individually because I want him to actually learn the mechanics behind that editing. So I'm just going to quickly run mine and then we'll have some lunch and then he can spend the afternoon just playing around. And yes, I know I need to clean my computer screen. So let's take a look through. See, I like that. So I'm just going to go through and start everything that's somewhat interesting. So that could work for shape. No, I don't want that one with this. That's too distracting. That one's got potential. Thinking maybe that for texture or that. Is that for color? No, I don't like that. So this is the old car, playing around with it. So I've done a quick cull. I've just literally picked based on what looks interesting. So I'm just now going to filter it down to my threes. So let's edit these. I know, I should pick before I edit, shouldn't I? Okay, so I want to do a story. So I think I definitely want to include this one. Okay, so let's go say 4, texture, and then color, I think. So that one could nearly be color. That one's color, okay. See, I quite like that one for texture as well. No, I think this one here is better. Okay, so now let's set our filter to 4. Yes, okay, I'm down to 3. All right, so let's get these edited. I think I've spoken about these presets before, and I am seriously so sad that I cannot link you up with them because they are seriously so beautiful and so, like some are very early 2000s, but some are just like this one is just so clean and simple. Okay, so I've only played with that just a little bit because this is a before and no, isn't it? Yeah, before and after. So there's the before, there's the after, and I can show you that with the history. So that's where I started, and that's what I finished with. So it's quite, as you can see, it is quite simple. It's just adjusting the contrasts a bit, adjusting the exposure. I did tweak the colors a little bit, but I'm happy with that one. So let's try this one. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to show you again. So the side by side of the before and after, before, after. Okay, and then this one here should be quite easy. So let's, before and after. This is probably the most subtle of the 3. It's a bit like being the optometrist, isn't it? 1 or 2, before, after. Very subtle. So that's my 3 there. So I'm just going to go File, whoop, Export, and they're ready to go. So I can now close that out and I'm going to go have some lunch. And then after lunch, we're going to have a play with Beetle and teach him how to edit. pretty clouds. Okay, so now we need to pick our photos from our walk. Okay, so we need to pick, remember, color, texture, and shape.
Texture.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to give them 3 stars when you tell me you want to keep them. Lovely. All right, so you tell me when you want me to flag one, okay?
3. 3.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know it still had a number plate on
it. Yeah, 3.
So let's go. So you go search by 3. Oh, we ended up with 3 photos.
Yeah.
All right. So now what we need to do is we need to edit it. Yes. Okay. So down the side here, you kind of work your way down. Okay, so you got temperature, so from blues to greens, blues to yellows. Okay, so then in the next one, we have our exposure. So you can turn it up to make it bright. You can turn it right down to make it dark. So this controls how much light is in your photo, okay? It's up to you, and I just want you just to have a play with them and get a feel for what they do, okay?
That one to begin with, but that's made it better.
Okay, so that's your before.
Oh,
and that's your after.
Blinkers.
Okay, I'll show you.
That's a whole lot of difference.
Okay. Before.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't like that.
After. Before. After.
That's
and here. Before.
Okay.
After.
Ooh.
Before, after.
There's not much difference in that one, is there?
Before, after. Okay, so let's take a look at, because this was the trickiest one. So the first thing I would do would be to bring that exposure right down. Shadows, increase that contrast a bit like that. And so can you see how increasing that contrast is already changing those colours in the background? So that's how I would edit that photo.
So I like making my photos look like, sort of like unrealistic.
Okay, so you're actually aiming for a surreal look here.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's how I would edit that. So I'm going to show you the befores and afters on that. Sorry. Before, after.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at this one. So let's go reset. Okay, so again, I would drop that exposure, definitely bump the contrast. Then I might lift the shadows a bit to brighten that background up. And all done. I hope you've enjoyed this little walk along with us, enjoying a bit of a peek behind the scenes on one of our art activities for school and enjoyed our editing. Thanks for joining me, and I'll be back next week with another video.